that is good. What we are going to be talking about, insulin resistance. What the heck is it? How to improve your insulin sensitivity, and if, as a diabetic, you should seek to improve your insulin sensitivity, reduce your insulin resistance by following the OMAD diet, or 1 meal a day diet. I promise I'm going to lay out the exact ways that you can improve your insulin sensitivity. Now, without further ado, I'm going to finish this and then we're going to dive right in. Cheers. To talk about this, I want to just remind you, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, thumbs up, turn on your notifications so you can know when my next piece of content is coming out, all the best videos. And also, if you're not on my email list already, you are truly, truly missing out. So I'm going to give you two options here. Number one, you can go down in the comments and you can click the link and I will send you 52 workouts that you can do. That's right, one brand new workout every week for an entire year so you can start off the new year on the right foot. Other option, if you need more help with your nutrition and things of that nature, you can click the other link and you will get my ultimate fat loss guide, because all of those freebies are going to help you get exactly where you want to go without having to pay for coaching, and to get to know me a little bit better as a coach too, to find out if any of my stuff resonates with you. Now, without further ado, let's dive in today. We are going to be talking about insulin resistance. We are going to be talking about the best diet options out there and lifestyle options out there to help reduce your insulin resistance and improve your insulin sensitivity, and if truly the 1 meal a day is the best option for improving insulin sensitivity for diabetics. And I am also type 1 diabetic. I have been now for the last 24 years. That's crazy. I'm almost a quarter of a century with type 1 diabetes and I'm still here. I don't want you to skip around in the video. The reason why I don't want you to skip around in the video is because there's important information in each section and it builds on itself. And number 10 is quite possibly the most important one. So don't fucking jump around. I know that's what you want to do. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay? Okay? All right, great. So before we even get into anything, I got to tell you first, what is insulin? Because that's going to play a big role in what we're talking about. Insulin is a hormone that your pancreas produces in the body. It is responsible for helping to regulate blood sugar within your body by allowing your body cells to take in the blood sugar and use it to convert it to energy. Now, when your body becomes insulin resistant or doesn't respond to the insulin any longer, that means that blood sugar is going to build up in your body, or glucose will build up in your body. Now, insulin is responsible for the body to be able to absorb that blood sugar, your muscles, your fat cells, your liver, like all of that jazz. And the liver absorbs the excess blood sugar and stores it as glycogen, which you will later release to be used during physical activity and things of that nature. I am a type 1 diabetic, which means my pancreas no longer produces any insulin at all. It hasn't for a long time. I wear a continuous glucose monitor here on my shoulder. You might see in some videos, I wear a tandem insulin pump. It mimics what your pancreas actually can do if you don't have a dead pancreas like me. And I am very insulin sensitive. Like, it drops my blood sugar relatively quickly when I deliver myself that insulin. We'll talk about why that happens, but it is important because if you are very insulin resistant, your body isn't going to be able to use and process insulin as well. And the more insulin we continually have to produce into the body, like when elevated levels happen, there has been a connection to more all-cause mortality later in life. One of the ones that has now been classified by some individuals as type 3 diabetes is Alzheimer's. So we want to try our best to be able to manage that in the most efficient way possible. So resistance, or insulin resistance, occurs when the body can no longer properly recognize insulin as a way to let blood sugar into cells, into our muscle cells, into our fat cells. When this happens, the body sends out that hormone insulin. The cell can't really recognize it, so the body actually starts producing more of it. The body still doesn't recognize that, which is not a good thing. Now, it is connected to usually an increase in fat or adipose tissue in the body. So particularly people who have a larger midsection, this is also what happens to women when they are pregnant. They might have gestational diabetes due to the fact that they have just gained a lot of weight and other factors going on within their life. Everyone is going to be different. Not everyone who's pregnant gets gestational diabetes, just like not everyone who technically is overweight has type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetes. I mean, look at me. I've never been overweight in my life. I've been active most of my life, and yet I still have type 1 diabetes. Fucking amazing, right? Insulin resistance is something that we need to improve. So there are all these different things out there right now with the one goal of reducing your insulin resistance and improving your insulin sensitivity. Now, information is flying around. You might not know where to get started. The way someone becomes type 2 diabetes is by being insulin resistant over a long period of time. Now, one way that someone can kind of notice this is you could order an insulin resistance or an insulin sensitivity test. That can be done by your general practitioner. It could be done by your endocrinologist. I'm not going to tell you to go do it, but what I am going to say is I think it's about $30 and you can do like one of those online labs so you can find out where you are sitting with your insulin sensitivity. I think it's important because there are things like your A1C, which is your blood glucose or your blood sugar average over 3 months. With CGM or continuous glucose monitor provides an even better picture because it tracks every 15 minutes. It's tracking what's going on in my subcutaneous level so I can see what my blood sugar is doing and you can have a more accurate picture. The next level of that people will do that's like below is something like your fasting glucose level. But for some individuals, they might have a slightly higher fasting glucose level, or they might have a lower glucose fasting level, but they still could technically be insulin resistant. There are a lot of factors there. So looking at those things can be helpful and help paint a picture. You're not going to diagnose yourself as insulin resistant. You are going to be told by your doctor. And if we are specifically looking at hormones, specifically looking at diabetes, that doctor would be your endocrinologist. Really, for people who are insulin resistant, they tend to be on the more obese side, to have a family history of diabetes, type 2 diabetes. They tend not to be as active. They tend to eat a higher, I'm going to say carbohydrate diet, but what I'm going to classify that as is more processed sugary diet, avoiding other things like fruits and vegetables. But again, we'll talk more about that in a little bit. So you know what insulin sensitivity is. You now know why you are insulin resistant if you are and how to go about finding out if you are insulin resistant. Number 3 is OMAD. So OMAD is very popular right now. That is 1 meal a day. It's a type of diet. In essence, it's a fasting diet. And a lot of people around the internet would like to make bold claims and say that it is the best thing that you could do for your body. It's going to completely transform your metabolism. It's going to improve your insulin sensitivity. It's going to make you live longer. It is going to do X or Y or Z or anything else under the sun that they can make a claim about, but none of it has been proven with research. And the research they tend to talk about comes from rodent studies or animal studies. And you and I, we're humans. But the big thing here is 1 meal a day is just another form of fasting. And I'm going to break it down for you and how it would work. Technically, you would wake up in the morning and you would eat nothing. You would drink water, you would have coffee technically, you could have lemon water, you could have green tea, you could have whatever you want. Go about your day. Ideally, you would still be active. You'd be moving your body throughout the day. You might work out. You might go for X amount of steps, right? You're still going to be active even though you're only eating 1 meal that day. When it comes time for your first meal of the day, which would be dinner time, you are going to eat a big meal. Some individuals who do this, they can get easily 1,500 to 1,900 calories in that 1 meal. Then you go to bed and you do it all over again. It's fasting. Is it best to do this sort of practice? If it works for your lifestyle and the older you get, you just happen to find you're not as hungry, it could technically work. But the only thing it's doing is actually reducing the amount of calories you're eating throughout the day because you made yourself a smaller eating window. You're honestly consuming, I'll say 1900 calories for some individual, other individuals probably close to 1200 calories because you're trying to jam as much food in your mouth. You might not be choosing things that are overly highly palatable because you're trying to get your blood sugar in check and things of that nature. If you're diabetic, you might just not be aware of that. And in which case, you're consuming as much as you can, you get full, and then you kind of feel lethargic. You're not moving much more at the end of the day, so you're not going to overconsume. So yeah, you're technically going to be in a calorie deficit. But there has been research at this point that it's kind of old news, but maybe it's new news for you, that has shown that time-restricted feeding is no better for you than a calorie deficit. As in, there's no magic that happens. Literally, a calorie deficit is just reducing the amount of calories you're eating for maintenance, and it causes you to lose weight because you're not consuming enough energy for your basic body needs where that maintenance level would be. Same thing when you're doing fasting, cell healing, and all those magical properties by just being in a calorie deficit and in general getting more lean. Is OMAD, in my opinion, the best bet for someone who is a diabetic? I am someone who has done, for a period of time, I did a lot of fasting, and I would do 24-hour fasts. And you know what? I'm not going to say it wasn't helpful because it allowed me to actually see how good my insulin levels were throughout the day. As in, is this actually right? Because if I'm consistently going low throughout the day, lower blood sugar for a diabetic could be below 80. If we get to that territory, it could be dangerous, and then you have to consume carbohydrate that's fast digesting to bring your blood sugar back up. But I found for the most part, my body was able to maintain its blood sugar, which was great. What was not great is after a 24-hour fast, when I would break that fast, is I would binge. I would eat everything in sight as fast as I could. I felt as if I could not stop eating. I felt my stomach truly distend and truly feel uncomfortable. I ate to the point where I felt like I was going to throw up, and I did not care. I just kept eating. Binging is not good. Binging is not a pattern we want to develop, and binging becomes very easy for someone who does have a fucked up relationship with food. We don't want to develop that pattern. So number one, with one meal a day, the likelihood of you binging probably increases. Again, I'm basing this off anecdote, but after working with hundreds of people at this point, seeing folks who fast and binge in the evening or binge when they have just one meal a day, it is pretty common. So that's something you want to be aware of. Number two, it can affect what foods you're choosing to eat during the day. Now, if someone has a lot of body weight to use, you're not going to enter starvation mode, right? You're not going to not be able to lose weight because if anything, being either at a lower calorie set point or doing some sort of 24-hour fast or one meal a day thing, your body has enough body fat to be utilized for energy, which in and of itself does help improve insulin sensitivity. However, if by the evening you are overindulging and you're picking highly palatable foods, and when I say carbohydrates as highly palatable, I mean things that are sugary, right? Donuts, cakes, all of those things, that's not going to really help you with you technically could eat what you want while you're in a deficit and you would lose weight, but it's not going to help you with keeping your blood sugar level, right? If you're someone struggling with diabetes, if you're not, even still, it's going to make things more complicated for you and really build not the best relationship with food. So OMAD is fasting, and in my opinion, it's not the best way to improve your insulin sensitivity. In fact, I would say you are silly if you think that's the only way you can improve your insulin sensitivity. I'll go even further to say anyone who suggests fasting is the only way to improve your metabolism, to get healthy, to improve your sleep, to improve your skin, basically to improve anything about yourself is fucking full of shit. Anyone who speaks in absolutes is not a good coach. Anyone who speaks in absolutes is not a good coach because I can't say that OMAD would be good for every single person because every single person is unique. Someone could be like me and could find themselves binging. Someone could be really comfortable with eating one meal a day, feel full, feel satisfied, not have a problem with overdoing it, not have a problem with consuming highly palatable things. But that's not everyone. So I can't say one meal a day is the best choice for someone with diabetes. What I can say is the things we're going to talk about here are guaranteed to improve your insulin sensitivity, to reduce insulin resistance, and are surefire things that everyone can do, no matter if you're diabetic, no matter if you're overweight. These are things that are available to everyone. Everyone can work on these things. And number 10 is quite possibly the most important thing to improve your insulin resistance, so don't skip ahead. Number 4 is daily number of steps. Your step count is going to be a big part of your insulin sensitivity. If you are someone who is sitting around all day, you are not utilizing any of the energy that you're taking in while eating. That is part of the problem with insulin resistance, is excess energy being stored throughout the body and not being utilized, not being used. One example would be if I have very high blood sugar for whatever reason. Let's say I eat a really starchy, carb-heavy meal, and maybe I don't give myself insulin soon enough. I'll see my blood sugar spike really high. Now, blood sugar spikes are very normal. Your pancreas does its job. Your body does its job. You're going to be okay. But for someone who's a type 1 diabetic, higher blood sugar spikes aren't ideal. We want to keep those minimal just to keep our life easy breezy. But when that does happen, and it will happen because that's a part of life, one of the best things I have found is going for a 10 to 15 minute walk. Within that 10 to 15 minute walk after a meal, my blood sugar comes down pretty easily. I don't need to give myself extra insulin, and then I'm well within range for my blood sugar. So for you, the same thing. If you get those steps in throughout the day, let's say we aim for 7,500, which research has shown is where we start to see all the benefits of reduced all-cause mortality, then you'll find that your insulin sensitivity naturally improves, right? Your insulin resistance naturally decreases, right? And that is because we're moving our body, which is using the energy that we consume, which is causing us to be more active, which means our body requires calories to keep that going, right? So that's why if someone wants to lose weight, but maybe they're not ready for the gym, maybe they are severely overweight, I would just have them start with their steps, right? Building up to 7,500 steps can be hard for a lot of people, but it's available to a lot of people, right? You're not going to be sore from walking unless you're doing like 20, 30,000 steps a day. You're not going to have to go to the gym to do it. You could walk around your house. You could walk around outside of your house. You could walk to get your mail. You could take the stairs. You could go up, right? There are all these different options. For someone who is very overweight, simply the act of getting up and walking to the bathroom and trying to do that as many times as possible throughout the day is going to move the needle in the right direction. It's going to help, and it will improve your insulin sensitivity. So 7,500 steps is where I would start most people. If you're well below that right now, just look at increasing by 1,000 steps every week, right? I'm not going to tell you, if you're taking 2,000 steps right now, you don't need to wake up and do 7,500 steps tomorrow, because the likelihood of you staying consistent with that isn't great. But what a lot of my clients do, we will have a step challenge where for 30 days, you just work on increasing your steps every week. So I'll have the bare minimum be 5,000 steps for everyone to start. Then the next week is 6,000. The following week is 7,000. The following week is 8,000. And people just work and they get very creative and find different ways to do it. So daily number of steps, keeping a step count of 7,500 and above is a great way to improve your insulin sensitivity. Number 5, the pump. This is one that I would think a lot of people would realize, but maybe you don't. That would be resistance training, lifting weights 2 to 3 times per week. There was actually research that was done where folks who were able to add resistance training into their routine, after about 8 weeks of doing this, it became a more consistent thing within their life that they had greater insulin sensitivity. Now, part of the reason for this is because you are reducing your body fat. Remember, excess adipose tissue, fatty tissue, really leads to that insulin resistance. So if we are adding muscle, we are going to therefore be using more calories. Now, A lot of people will say adding muscle mass will burn a lot of calories throughout the day. No, it won't. It's not that much. Maybe if we add a lot of muscle, we'll burn, I don't know, the equivalent of an apple. That's not really the point here, because fat in and of itself requires energy and burns calories throughout the day too. So you really can't say one group is more important than the other. But what I will say is lifting weights does improve your insulin sensitivity. Again, for me personally, on days I do heavy lower body lifts, so something like heavy front squats or heavy single leg deadlifts or anything like that, I find that my blood sugar drops very fast, very easily with the normal doses of insulin I usually would give myself, which as a guinea pig just shows that insulin sensitivity, it's there for up to 24 hours, 48 hours personally. Everyone's going to be different, but it does make it so the body utilizes that insulin more efficiently. So does it have to be anything crazy? No. Again, this is something that's open to anyone. Resistance training literally means you are resisting the force of gravity against your body. So if you're lifting weights, well, you can feel it more easily, but for someone who is very overweight, doing something like a set of wall push-ups and squatting down and tapping your butt on the chair and getting back up is going to be plenty of resistance. Think about it. Think about, if you are someone who does go to the gym, think about you squatting with an extra, like, let's say 150 pounds on your body. It could feel heavy, right? Now let's say that person weighs 400 pounds. Think about the stress on their bones, on their joints from just sitting and getting up from a chair. Could you imagine adding weight to their body to begin with? I wouldn't. So I'm saying that working out is available to anyone. Look, if you don't know where to get started, you can click below in the comments and you can download my 52 metabolic workouts. That's one new workout every week for a year to take the guesswork out of it. Look, it's also going to put you on my email list, which I don't spam you, but I do send out my best content, and that also includes workouts. So it will help you get where you want to go. Zone. You want to get in the zone. Zone 2 cardio. Zone 2 cardio. Now, here's why I put this up here. Yes, daily movement and how active you are plays a huge role in your insulin sensitivity. Zone 2 cardio is something that you could do every single day if you wanted to. You could. Zone 2 cardio is when you are exercising, doing cardio. We're not counting weightlifting. Any bro who says weightlifting, squatting is their cardio is fucking ridiculous. That's not the same thing. It does feel like cardio, but it's not. Zone 2 cardio is any form of cardio that keeps your heart rate between 60 and 70% of your max heart rate. If you're not sure what that is or what that looks like, I'm going to connect to another article I wrote called How to Get Started with Strength Training. And it's literally going to lay everything out for you to get started with strength training, but also to build a comprehensive workout. So it includes your conditioning in there, which would be Zone 2 cardio. You go above Zone 2 into 3, 4, 5, you're not able to sustain that as long. The recovery time might be a little bit longer. So Zone 2 is something that's easy enough that you could do it many times per week without having to wait a long amount of time to recover, but enough work that you actually see adaptations in your recovery between sessions, your rest intervals that you need between lifts, in your sleep, in your heart rate variability, in your resting heart rate, like all of those things. That is going to improve your insulin sensitivity, right? Because you are getting leaner while doing it, but also building a robust cardiovascular system and a strong heart. So Zone 2 cardio, anywhere from 2 to 3 times per week. You could use the elliptical. You could, for someone, walking might be their Zone 2 cardio. It depends, again, on how much they weigh. But you could walk on a treadmill at an incline, bike, you could use a rower, you can walk the stairs, and you want to get at least 20 minutes. At least 20 minutes and beyond, right? 20 minutes and up, you'll be golden. And you can count those, that time you spend in Zone 2, you can count that towards your daily steps too. 20 plus is where you are. That does not include the warm-up. It's when you hit that Zone 2, that's when you start the clock. Say 90 to 180 minutes a week in Zone 2. That'd be awesome. Just depends on the person, depends how much you're doing, depends on where you're starting from. Number 7, this is a biggie. +6. +6 what? Like, what are you talking about, +6? at least 6+ hours of sleep per night. Now, I know for certain individuals, if you have kids and they're young, well, you're going to be drinking a lot of coffee. Just spilt that all over myself. Sleep is very important, especially if you're trying to lose weight and especially if you're trying to improve your insulin sensitivity. Number one reason is because it's going to help regulate your hormones of hunger and fullness, ghrelin and leptin, right? When you have those in check, you're going to find it easier to make better choices for your nutrition, and you're less likely to overdo it or overeat in the evening. So 6+ hours is where we want to aim. Now, you might be saying, well, I thought it was 8 to 9 hours of sleep, and the more sleep you get, the better. Well, number one, you can get too much sleep, right? Think back to when you were in college or in high school, when you would just sleep all day. Like you would sleep until like 1 in the afternoon if you could. Well, we don't really want that much sleep now because the likelihood of you being able to get everything done during the day and your productivity goes down the drain, the harder it is to get revved up, and that's just the fact of the matter. 6+ hours is kind of that sweet spot. Between 6 to 8 hours to 9 hours would be awesome, but everyone's not going to have that depending on what phase of life you're in. Number one, as you get older, sleeping is harder. You're woken up throughout the night. If you're a woman and you're later in life, it could be from a hot flash. If you're a man and it's later in life, it could be from the fact you have to pee every 5 seconds like a racehorse. There are all these different factors. Where you are in your life right now and what you can actually do that is consistent. Case in point, if you have a new baby in the house, you're not going to get a lot of sleep. And you have to accept it, something I've accepted. And the thing is, it's a phase. It's not forever. What we're looking at is lifespan, how long life is. A few months isn't the end-all be-all. What it is what's actually happening long-term. So if you can get at least 6+ hours of sleep per night, you're going to find that that helps improve your insulin sensitivity because you're also going to be energized and more active the following day. Because remember, step count matters. Your ability to resistance train and build muscle matters, and the way you build muscle best is if you recover properly and getting enough sleep so those tears in your muscle can heal and rebuild is important. Zone 2 cardio is going to help you burn through energy that you might have, which is going to make you get into deeper sleep and help with REM and help with overall recovery. Do you see, like, it's all connected? So the workout, cardio, and lifting, and then you got sleep. Another one, and this is a big one, is F-bombs. You need some more fucking fiber in your diet. You need some more fiber in your diet. There's a lot of popular health trends right now that will tell you the fucking opposite, and they are full of shit. There is enough research out there that shows a direct relationship between increased amounts of fruits and vegetables and fiber and a reduction in all-cause mortality. No matter who on the internet is telling you that you need to consume only meat and only meat alone without any fiber, although they don't want you to consume sugar or anything, but yet they have honey, I don't understand. They're out of their damn minds. The long-term cost of that, heart disease, heart attack, cancer, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, super high fat. As a diabetic, I've just found, because I've tried it, I've tried going higher fat, lower carb. It just does not agree with me. This is an anecdote of me, my experience as a type 1 diabetic. Maybe you're type 1 diabetic and you find, you know what, if I go low carb, it's so much better for, great, you do you. But I am going to say, even if you're low carb, even if you're a high fat diet, you fucking need fiber. Things like avocado have a shit ton of fiber. It also happens to be very high in fat, which is just calorically expensive. And if we're trying to lose weight, it's very easy to overconsume fats compared to carbohydrates that are fibrous, because fibrous carbohydrates allow for blood sugar stability because they are slow digesting carbohydrates. Now, fruits and vegetables fall into this category, as well as whole grains. That falls into the category. The cool thing is that a carbohydrate is only 4 calories per gram. Fat is 9 calories per gram. So you can eat way more carbohydrates, and if you're choosing fibrous carbohydrates, way more, stay full longer, and have more stability in your blood sugar, right? I'm not saying you should eliminate fat. I am saying that things like trans fat, we're going to want to have less of. But we are going to want to shift towards more minimally processed whole foods that are fibrous. That has been directly linked with reduction in all-cause mortality. That, my friend, is going to help you with your insulin sensitivity. So, introducing more fruits and vegetables into your diet, more fibrous carbohydrate sources like grains, whole grains will be very helpful too. In general, for women, about 25 grams per day, and for men, about 36 grams per day is the daily recommended amount of fiber. Work up to that. If you get like 10 grams, I don't recommend the next day jumping up to like 50 or 60 grams or even to like 36 grams because you will find that you get constipated. It takes time for your body to adjust to that soluble and insoluble fiber that you'll be digesting and ingesting. So what I recommend is work on adding like 5 grams throughout the week, right? 5 grams extra every day. Take your time and build up to it. Personally, I consume like 100 plus grams of fiber and nothing bad happens, but that's been a long time of me doing this. And I will say it does really help with my blood sugar stability as a type 1 diabetic. Number 9, big D energy. The only fucking thing that matters when you were trying to lose weight is being in a calorie deficit. That's what OMAD is putting you into. That is one way to really help with your insulin sensitivity. And the reason why it helps is because you are getting leaner. Folks who are leaner and have more muscle mass are less likely to be insulin resistant. It improves your insulin sensitivity because your body has a better time partitioning insulin and absorbing it to regulate your blood sugar, your blood glucose. If we can make it easier for our body to do that, then we will see an improvement in our insulin sensitivity and a reduction in our insulin resistance. And to do that, you have to be in a calorie deficit. Remember, insulin resistance starts by having too much energy stored within the fat, within our muscles, within basically all the parts of our body that the hormone interacts with. And by getting leaner, we are actually helping our body utilize that energy. Does it have to be overly complicated? No. If you implement something like 1 meal a day, you are going to be in a deficit if you have a okay relationship with food, but it is very hard to sustain. If it's the holidays and you're eating 1 meal a day, and then it comes to the holiday time and all your favorite things are out, are you going to be able to just will yourself not to enjoy the things you love? Probably not. Probably not. If you are, well, you are an exception to the rule, but most individuals will have a hard time if they have been really, really, really rigid and really, really, really eliminating the things that they enjoy from their eating altogether. Don't enjoy eating breakfast, you can totally fast. There's nothing wrong with it. I like coffee in the morning, but I'm hungry first thing in the morning, so I don't like to fast. But you can fast. Again, it's just removing a chunk of your calories, which will put you in a calorie deficit, especially if you are hitting over 7,500 steps per day, working out 2 to 3 times per week and building lean muscle, doing some zone 2 cardio and improving that insulin sensitivity and your overall cardio health, getting 6+ hours of sleep per night, making sure you get your fiber in it, right? You notice a trend here? Like that's the only way that something like fasting can be sustainable and beneficial. If you're just fasting and cutting out a meal, and then at the end of the day, you are just eating a shit ton because you're hungry, or so you're saving up to enjoy the things you like ice cream and things like that, it's going to backfire on you. That's not going to be very helpful long term. So what you can do is, again, you can click below, you can get my fat loss guide, and that is going to give you my weight loss calculator. Use my weight loss calculator. It's literally going to spit out for you what your calories should be, what your protein goal should be, fat, carb goal, fiber goal, all of that. It will be spit out for you so you don't have to think about it. It's the way you can make progress with this is just multiply your goal body weight times 12. That'll give you your calorie range. Add or subtract 100 calories and that gives you a range. Try to stick to that. If that feels easy for you to track, then you're going to track your protein goal. Having lean sources of protein within your diet will make it easier for you to reduce your total carbohydrate and total fats. Because remember, if we're eating a lot of carbs and fats and not a lot of protein, we're more likely to be in that calorie surplus because it's not as satiating, right? So protein goal, you can do anywhere from 0.7 grams per pound of goal body weight, or 1 gram per pound of goal body weight, or 1 gram per pound of lean body weight, like your current body weight. But that keeps it easy for you. And then the rest of it, you technically don't have to track carbs and fat. As long as you're hitting your daily total calories and your protein goal, then you will still lose weight. If you are not losing weight, and it's been weeks, you're not in a fucking calorie deficit. I hate to burst your bubble. You're not. But that's okay. You can make adjustments. It's going to take longer than a week. Do it for longer than 30 days. Be consistent as you can for 30 days. See the results. Keep going. That's the secret. So the last one here, and I think is the most important one, stress. Stress. If you reduce your stress, you will become more insulin sensitive. Stress is a biggie. Stress, for me as a diabetic, if I'm stressed at all times of the day, even if I do HIIT cardio, all right, ready? Because everyone says HIIT cardio is the way to regulate your blood sugar. No, it's not. Okay, HIIT cardio, when I do it, my blood sugar goes sky high, and then it comes down right away after. So blood sugar spikes alone aren't anything to be worried about. But what you have to understand is it's because I'm putting my body under stress, right? When I'm doing zone 2 cardio, it's easier on my body to sustain longer, and my blood sugar comes down pretty fast. If I'm talking about lifting weights, if I am lifting during that session, my blood sugar will spike up, and then it will come down. So stress on the body in and of itself spikes our blood sugar. Is that a bad thing? No, blood sugar spikes are normal. There's enough research showing the relationship between an increased level of all-cause mortality when our stress levels are through the roof at all times. It's literally poisoning our body to be stressed at all times. Now, I'm not saying there won't be moments or things in your life that stress you out, right? But the way we choose to deal with that stress, well, for some individuals, it could be turning to highly palatable foods. For other individuals, it could be staying up all night and playing video games. For another person, it could be drinking. What I'm saying here is we have to look at how we're choosing to deal with our stress. If the things we're doing to deal with our stress are in the long run harmful for our body long term, and we only have that form of self-care, or what we think as self-care, to use, we're going to see negative outcomes, right? It's just like if I thought the only way to deal with my stress was to bike 30 miles, well, anytime I got stressed, I would have to sit on a stationary bike and bike it out, right? It's taking something that can be healthy for us and making it not healthy. So stress reduction is so important. And here's the cool thing. Getting out and going for a walk is a great way to reduce your stress. It's been shown to improve our focus during the day, been shown to improve our emotional regulation. It lets you be with your thoughts and process your thoughts and lets the hard things pass by. Another way, lifting weights. Lifting weights has been a way for people to get their anger and frustration out for years. When I was in college and when I first got into lifting, the reason why I went every day is because I had a lot of anger and a lot of anger issues. And I drank a lot, and I was an alcoholic. And I could always go to the gym and lift, get my anger out, right? For some, that would be very productive. For me at this time, I go to therapy. I'm sober. I'm on an antidepressant. That makes these things work a little bit better for me, but without being obsessed, right? Zone 2 cardio, great way to reduce stress as well. Regulate the blood sugar as well. Improve our heart health. Those things, very important in reduction in stress, keeping that low resting heart rate, important. Sleep. Sleep allows our body to recover, our minds to recover. There are so many benefits from getting that deep sleep. But if we skip out on the deep sleep because of stress, well, then we're just going to see that carry with us, right? Now, Does eating necessarily help with our stress? Yes and no. But improving our fiber levels and being in a deficit, you will actually start to learn to recognize what hunger actually is. If we can recognize, or you can recognize, the difference between a craving, which is not hunger, and you start to be able to make different choices, you'll find that you get much better at managing stress. Because hunger in and of itself is a feeling that increases in our stomach. It's hollow. It only increases, never goes away. And it's for a meal, right? It's for oatmeal with fresh fruit and yogurt and some scrambled eggs on the side. Like, that sounds good when you're hungry. It's not for a piece of cake, right? If you randomly want a piece of cake, that's more of a craving. Cravings are normal. It's a normal part of life, but it goes away, right? And the way we choose to deal with that is recognizing, oh, okay, I'm having this craving because it makes me happy to eat this or that, and I'm stressed right now, right? Being able to distinguish those things are a complete game changer. All of my fat loss clients, they work on being able to answer this question: is this hunger, or am I feeling X or Y? Am I bored? Am I tired? Am I feeling this big emotion? What can I do to be with that feeling? And then they work on creating their own forms of self-care. It's not just limited to exercising and going for walks. And no, there are so many different ways to reduce your stress. I'm going to show you one of them. This is my dog, Lucy. We got her to help me with my depression and my anxiety. She's been a part of our family for the last 6 years. She's amazing. I love her. She's in a lot of my videos sometimes. This is reducing my stress. Playing with her, running around. Same thing with my son. Same thing with my wife. All forms of stress reduction. Going to therapy, stress reduction. Talking to friends, sending text messages to friends, stress reduction. Literally. Reading a book, doing Sudoku, listening to classical music, getting out in nature, painting, doing my taxes. I know that sounds stressful, but actually, if I'm not putting it off and I actually do it, I feel really accomplished, right? Setting boundaries. If there's something that I'm always worried about, it's the holidays, and I'm worried about what this family member is going to say about me doing X or Y, setting that boundary, well, that removes that fear. So the whole point of all of this is that none of this matters if we can't reduce our stress. If you can't reduce your stress, you are going to find that your blood sugar levels go all over the place as a diabetic, that your insulin resistance increases because of the food and lifestyle choices you make because of that stress. So, do you need one meal a day to improve your insulin resistance? No. You just need to be lean, you need to be strong, but you also need to listen to what's going on in your body and to make the choices that help the most. I'll remind you again, please, please, please subscribe, leave a comment, give a thumbs up, do all the things you can do for YouTube so I can keep bringing you awesome content like this. Comment below, let me know what your big takeaway was, what your question is, what you would like to see me cover next. I love reading what you write. I love all the comments. I'm here for it, and I want to keep doing these videos as long as I can. That's the big goal for 2024. So, thanks again for being here. Without further ado, remember, you're only one day away from getting back on track and one day away from realizing how fucking amazing you are. Yeah, buddy? Yeah?